is the Barcelona one we went to. So I would suggest every time, if you get out, your security system is the 6. It's at 1 or 2. If it's 2, we play far from each other, at least 50 meters, because this one needs to go and pressurize. This one is the security for shift.
From my side, I just think it was a very thoughtful session with Coach Muhsin. Having worked with him, he's very mindful of his things and he knows the game. But the important part that he raised for me was like, our players must take care of themselves. You must watch your game and you must be able to criticize yourself. For you to improve, you must see the movements and be able to learn from all what's happening internationally. You understand what I mean? And you must also take instructions for you to move forward as a player. You have to improve yourself every day. Criticize yourself as much as you can and get your games on the video, because that will only help you on the next game or in the next sessions, because you're only as good as your last game.
For me, I think the main thing I took away from it was the level of detail, attention to detail, how everything is basically comes down to the finer details of preparation, training. As an athlete, the goalkeeping, mainly the 70% footwork and the 30% hands, is quite massive. Also, just to find out how they transition between club training and then going to national team, it's quite interesting. And you learned a lot today.
I think sessions like this are very important for players. I think in a very short period of time we've learned a lot. We've realized how much or how scientific football has become, and football internationally and locally, I believe, and through this session, that it is the same, but it's just how it's the matter of how do you go about the details in the game and your role that you are given at that specific game.
Today we have learned quite a few things, but what really stood out for me was learning about what the automatism is all about, because when you talk about automatism, you're talking about the passing patterns. So Coach Muhsin really told us, he showed us what Manchester City is doing, and also that players like IK they have so many passing patterns. So when you get into the game, when they receive the ball, they know when to do what they need to pass. So I really hope we as a team will get to take that and get to work on our passing patterns as well, because it will always give us an edge into our games.
Well, the session was very important, and a lot that we learned from a coach of Coach Muhsin's pedigree, someone that we know that he's been in football for long. He's got knowledge about football, the impact that he has made in South African football, or also international level. So there are so many things that we learned, and we appreciate the time that he has given us.
And I think from my side, I still want to convey my profound appreciation. I know your schedule is tight, Sergio. I wanted to surprise my technical team yesterday that after the game we have dinner. So only to find that's scheduled last night. So I realized that you're in demand. But that demonstrates the confidence and trust people have in you, because they know the role you have played and you continue to make in the country. And that's something which we always need to create this platform to kind of say, there are people who can add value to our game, and it's people of your caliber who we need to bring on board so that we can really change the thinking and people to have a broader perspective of things. And it's quite refreshing to get such kind of perspective. But sometimes you need to create such kind of session where the players begin to say, am I going only to depend on the technical staff, or I also have to play my role? And that's the area where, because they spend so much time with all of them, you just need someone from outside to hear and say, oh, they're in the same direction. So that's why for me it's so important to create this kind of thing. And for them on an individual level to begin to really think broader and to have that bigger picture, to kind of say, I might be in Glen Africa, we might be in that position, but is it the end product, or the there's a home where I can really, on an individual level, and while collectively I'm still playing a role, but making sure that I empower myself in this country. I think that's the exercise which we want to do. And there's a number of things which we want to link up. But when it comes internally, which is correctly so, we tend to do more introspection, and sometimes we feel like we are doing so bad until you begin to have such kind of teams. And I always see sort of like, these are big brands, but the basic things are not in place. But you make it work, and that's why sometimes it's sort of like, how do you make sure that you are not distracted by looking at negative part, when there are small things which are good happening, where you can put energy on that to make sure it happens.
Absolutely.
I think for me it's to create that, because people are sitting here, the amount of the capacity of them, it's just going to make us something special. And that's something which I believe in. And that's why you find, Katush is our club manager, and she's second from me, but she's in charge. It's an area where you need to change the thinking, all those kind of things. I worked with Pearl for the time when he came. She was organizing the facility that time because she was in my office. But she has been in the system for more than 15 years. And when I look where we come from, because we're just focusing on the student internal league, and say the student might participate with other universities. But we begin to realize that how big it is. And that's why you have the ladies football. She played a role. So this exercise is to empower us, but all the people who are sitting here, I see them being going to preach the gospel out there and begin to make it different. So thanks for the opportunity.
Let's talk about this one, right? One of your characteristics is being very animated when you're coaching. And I'm sure you observed yesterday that Coach Mabuza is almost exactly the same. It's almost exactly the same. Yeah.